Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Some of us knew that the masks don't work and that social distancing is garbage. And we tried to, have a reasonable or rational conversation with the loved ones. And sometimes we failed, and I said, you know what? Time will prove me right. And patience, my friends, patience still a virtue. Here you have it. We have the weasel Fauci, who comes now and says that actually 6 feet apart and the masks and the Luan story, man, you know what? They don't work. The Luan story is not a conspiracy theory, he said, and the social distancing is garbage, not based on facts, on science. It just appeared. My friends, for those who were promoting this garbage, I would like to suggest that you start reading. Okay, that's all. Because when you read the right thing, these guys cannot fool you that the mask, the droplets, which are smaller than the. Anyway, so I have here a video with Rand Paul as well, and 3 articles. So let's start with the first one from, let's say, Reason. Reason. Fauci to Congress. 6-foot social distancing guidance likely not based on data. Republican lawmakers criticize the former NIH official for playing semantics about lab leaks and blah, blah, blah. All right, let's go to this. That one right here. Fox News. Fauci admits social distancing not based on science, quote unquote, sort of just appeared. Down here, Fauci also testified that the lab leak hypothesis was not a conspiracy theory. So for those who are very happy about it, right here, in closed-door congressional testimony, former chief of White House medical advisor Anthony Fauci said that federal social distancing guidance during the pandemic was likely not based on data, and conceded that the lab leak hypothesis of COVID-19's origins isn't a conspiracy theory. And we have here the Fed's oft-repeated 6-foot rule informed numerous state and local pandemic restrictions, including mask mandates and capacity limitations at businesses. Washington, D.C.'s mask mandate, for instance, required people to wear masks outside when one couldn't reliably keep 6 feet away from other people. I remember, my friends, and right here, Fauci also reportedly told lawmakers yesterday that the lab leak hypothesis was not a conspiracy theory. You couldn't say this out loud in public because there were too many cowards and dumbasses, ignorance, and they will swarm you, jump on you. It doesn't really matter. But at one point, you're like Don Quixote. You know Don Quixote de la Mancha with Cervantes. You can't fight the windmills, and they're just gonna be the wind blowing, and you fight for nothing. The same here. And remember those motherfuckers that might watch this one. Just go in front of a window and punch yourselves really hard. Maybe your brain is going to make the right contacts, because to read, it takes long. It takes long, and instead of sleeping, watching garbage TV, or some other who knows what activities, go and read the right thing. Anyway, I had to do this because I had such irritating conversations with people that I cared for, and I was like, how in the hell you could be so dumb? Well, whatever. Not dumb, ignorant. So let's go to this article here, and let's, no, that's not what I want. This is what I want, actually. And let's see what Rand Paul has to say here. Because we're going to say how Fauci, this guy is a hero right here, how Fauci, in public, he says something, in private, says something else. Let's make sure this is at the maximum. That's the maximum sound, and let's try. Oh, okay, thank you very much. Let's try again. It always does this when I try something.
What are you going to say? I was Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, the author of Deception, the Great COVID Cover-Up. Senator, again, I think the salient point is that apparently we have a defense secretary who isn't regularly in touch with the the White House officials. And Kirby punted that question.
I think it's sort of an indictment, though, really, of the Biden administration, that the people around the president don't think he's important enough to be informed. He's sort of a figure.
These mofos are just garbage. Yeah, and again, keep going with this.
And officials who think they can conceal the truth. Enter Anthony Fauci.
Finally.
More than 100 times during closed-door testimony yesterday, he told lawmakers that he did not recall important information and conversations relevant to the origins of COVID-19 and the U.S. pandemic response that he presided over. Senator Paul.
Who does that remind you of? Kind of reminds you of Bill Clinton a little bit. I don't recall. And then he gets into the definition of what is gain of function is. What is the definition of gain of function? Everything's parsing words when he can remember. And most of the time, if it's an important question, he can't remember. But he did admit that, you know what? He approved all of the research, but he didn't read or review any of it. And he doesn't know how or what process there is for having oversight for foreign research, like the research that went on in Wuhan. It's amazing.
So we are seeing a generation that is suffering. You hear from teachers, you hear from employers who've really been, put behind the 8 ball because of that closures of schools. We have excess deaths, perhaps related to some of the treatments and so forth. And he's like, can't remember the guy who was the highest paid official for how many years in Washington?
But if he was here, he would tell you that he was for closing the schools before he was against closing the schools, before he was for it again and then against it. So many things, but the one thing that's consistent about Anthony Fauci is what he says in private is largely true. What he says in public is largely a lie. When asked about the masks by a fellow co-worker, Sylvia Burwell, he told her the truth. He said the masks don't work because the pores are bigger than the virus.
Their own study revealed that about the influenza virus.
But then in public, he wears 3 masks. In private, he tells his colleagues you don't really need to wear one. It's the same with immunity. It's the same with the vaccines. And it's really the same with gain of function. In private, he said, yes, we're suspicious that the virus was manipulated, looks manipulated, and we know they're doing gain of function in Wuhan. He describes it. That's in a private email. In public, to this day, he still denies that they funded any gain of function research in Wuhan. It's all an entire lie.
That wouldn't be a big scandal or anything, wouldn't it? Would it be like we ended up putting money to EcoHealth Alliance that gave money to Wuhan that ultimately spun off that virus
and then
that ended up killing 9 million people?
1 million people died here, 9 to 20 million people worldwide, and not one Democrat has stepped forward. On the committee, in the hearings where Fauci is testifying, the Democrats are still defending him and saying nothing to see here, it wasn't gain of function. But it's all sort of parsing of words. The viruses they were creating in the lab were more infectious. They became more infectious and more deadly. More infectious and more deadly. If that's not gain of function, then really you're just being dishonest, and that's what Fauci's doing.
Really quickly, Senator, this border deal that the Republicans...
Yes, so we lost 2 years almost. The children lost 2 years of school, or 1 year at least. And with social distancing and all this garbage that you could definitely test on your own. I made a video maybe 2 days ago, just in passing. I was talking about the masks. As I used to train with the mask on, so you can develop the diaphragm, the strength, and like you go in the mountains, you have less oxygen, so you are forced to work harder, your lungs and the diaphragm and so on. The same thing I used to train with masks on. So you train and punch and you run for the same reason. And even if you wear a mask here, all air comes around and goes through. How is the air coming? If the air comes out and the air gets out, those, how do you call the particles are, they said is microscopical. And these have like what, cloth mask? It's so idiotic. I said it many times. Can you reason with idiots? No, with ignorance actually. And there were some people who really are so coward, but they like to survive. They don't live. They survive. They go through life. That's all they do. But the problem is, I have no problem with you living your life like a hermit, like a little over there in your basement. I don't care. I don't want you to have any power how I live my life. If you're afraid, stay over there. Don't make me stop my life from enjoying it. And if I die, not you. Whether you infect other people, stay in there. Stay in there. But you can't, it's just, you couldn't argue because you have a different worldview, different education, different upbringing, you're different. but they vote as well. Anyway, my friends, here it is. Dr. Fauci, I have no doubt. It's just little by little, these guys are letting these things out. As I said, I told these guys, you'll see that they will come with the truth in a few years. And what are they going to do then? You know what they're going to do? They say, that's what I said. I was suspicious. No, we had strong arguments and nothing happened. Because why? These guys, if they could have done it, they would have put us all in a camp for the duration of the pandemic and keep us over there. And maybe, remember how these guys are saying, some very bad news. Oh, that guy who was a COVID denier or whatever, he died. Or that guy who was not vaccinated, he died. They were like celebrating that, but I got the booster, I survived. How do you know it was because of the booster? Oh my God. Anyway, my friends, these are the people that we rub shoulders, the elbows, and shoulders at work, in a store, and we go at the bars or wherever we go in our venues, and you talk to them about garbage, unimportant things. When it's something meaningful, that's what they are. And they vote. This is a problem with the mass democracy as well. They say, we're all educated. The fact that you have a diploma somewhere in your ass from a college degree, you're not educated. You're not educated. What you know and how you reason, how you analyze things, your method of analyzing, that's what matters. And you have to have information as well. But you can argue with them. Up to this day, I see idiots driving cars alone with the masks on. I don't care, but those guys would make me do the same thing if they had the power. But they don't. It seems like, but they had. And then we had the elections. We're going to have some new elections soon. And they tell us it's a new wave. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.